Welcome to the Tipping Point Show. I'm Jimmy Evans. Today I have a special guest joining me. We're going to be talking about his fascinating new book about artificial intelligence, aliens, and the Antichrist and their roles in end-time prophecy. Let me first of all, before we get into that interview, just remind you of the conference we have coming up September 20th and the 21st, Grapevine, Texas, Fellowship Church. It's going to be on Friday night and all day Saturday. We have Dr. David Jeremiah. We have Rabbi Jonathan Kahn, Pastor Ed Young, myself, Mark Hitchcock, Billy Crone, Max Lucado, best-selling author Max Lucado. We're going to have a fantastic day and evening. And like I said, Dr. David Jeremiah is going to be joining us live via video on Friday night. It's going to be a fantastic 2 days. Want you to be a part of it, go to endtimes.com and you can see there under conferences, you can reserve your seat. We have reserved seating. And if you're a subscriber to endtimes.com, you get a 50% discount. We also have live streaming that's going on. You can live stream it if you can't come physically. But I'm telling you, it's going to be a special time. What a year we're having. End time prophecy is exploding before our very eyes. This is our most special conference ever in the end time prophecy scenario, hearing in real time from the leading experts in the world of what's happening in Bible prophecy. Go to endtimes.com, sign up. We'd love to have you be a part of that. Alan DiDio is the host of the popular Encounter Today YouTube channel. He's the founder of Encounter Church in Charlotte, North Carolina. He's a popular author and speaker, and he's joining me today to talk about his new book, Summoning the Demon, AI, Aliens, and the Antichrist. Alan, it's great to have you joining me today.
It's so good to be here. Thank you for having me.
And we've got your book here, Summoning the Demon, AI, Aliens, and the Antichrist. What a fascinating book. Now, so, of course, AI came out in 2023, commercialized in 2023.
Yes.
And so you're saying in your book that there's a biblical context to artificial intelligence. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct.
So tell us about it.
Well, this started when I saw Elon Musk being interviewed, and he was asked about artificial intelligence, and he said, "With AI, we are summoning the demon." That's why the book is titled that, "Summoning the Demon." And he cited a movie where there's this guy who draws a pentagram on the floor, and he's going to summon the demon and try to control that demon. And he said, "We all know how that's going to work out. It's not going to work out. He's not going to control the demon. The demon's going to turn on him and destroy him." And he's comparing artificial intelligence with that encounter. And that got me fascinated. And as I began to ask questions, I realized how woefully uninformed the church was about this issue that is destined to transform in the next 3 to 5 years, 40% of the economy. In the next 10 years, 80% of the economy. Everything is about to be upended by this. This is the next industrial revolution. And the church, as always, is kind of in the background, or they've got their pitchforks and their torches like we did with radio and like we did with television. Television, you got that antenna, those are the horns, and the cord, that's the tail. It's just the devil. We need to stay away from it. And we got behind the 8 ball as a result of it. And
right.
So I wanted to start researching and writing about artificial intelligence and sharing from a biblical perspective what this all meant. And of course, that evolved into understanding transhumanism, the whole alien phenomenon that we see now taking place, and the agenda of the Antichrist. But when we go to Revelation chapter 13, there's a fascinating prophecy about the Antichrist where he's going to set up an economic system. And in the midst of that, he's going to create this image, this idol. And all the world is going to marvel at this image's ability to speak. Now, that's what really got my attention, because where we're all fascinated and fixated on right now with artificial intelligence is language models. We are all fascinated with its ability to interact with us and its ability to talk to us.
That's right.
And so that's where all this began, this fascination began, and we just went down the rabbit hole. And I was concerned everybody was going to extremes, like these radical conspiracy theories, and I wanted to make sure we stayed anchored in Scripture, and that's the purpose of the book.
Well, and so artificial intelligence is neutral. It's a neutral technology. Would you agree with that? It has horrific capabilities if it's turned toward evil. And that's one of the things you're pointing out here. But I spoke in a church on Sunday, they use it. We use it on a limited basis here on our marriage side of our ministry. And so it can write articles, it can do this and that, quick as all get out. But you have to watch it, because it is a technology that's capable of making some big mistakes. And of course, Congress right now is talking about putting regulations on artificial intelligence. China won't. You know Russia won't. You know North Korea won't. You know Iran won't. And so one of the things that concerns me, Alan, is that in the hands of evil, dictators around the world who want to destroy us, this has tremendous capability for evil, doesn't it?
Yeah, we're in the middle of a Manhattan Project moment, and I think it's probably more significant. AI has the potential to be more devastating. And I don't want to be all doom and gloom because, again, we can use artificial intelligence for the advancement of the gospel. And I make the case in the book, here's how we can morally use artificial intelligence for the advancement of the gospel. But like you said, we have to watch it because, like the Manhattan Project, somebody was going to develop that technology, that weapon. And whoever used it first was going to be able to redraw the lines on the map, or at least control what was happening in the earth. And that's why we've had relatively a peaceful time comparatively to what we saw in World War I and World War II because of this threat of nuclear weapons. Now, artificial intelligence poses a different kind of threat. Even right now, as we're talking right now, the WEF at this moment is having a roundtable discussion, and they are talking about autonomous weapons systems. So the technology is already in place for this to be a destructive force in the earth as they're discussing this and how to use it morally. 4,000 AI researchers, and I have a lot of stats like this in the book. 4,000 AI researchers were surveyed. 48% of them said there's a 10% chance artificial intelligence will end civilization. Now, I don't know how many of us would get on an airplane if we were told of 48% of the people, half the people who worked on it said, there's a 10% chance you're not going to make it to your destination. And so you got Elon Musk with these warnings. You've got Stephen Hawking, who said that the development of AI could spell the end of civilization. So all of these warnings are there, but none of it matters because, as you said, China's rushing to this. No one's going to hold back. So we have to do everything we can to inject ourselves into the process. And honestly, I'm calling for some Holy Spirit-filled AI researchers and programmers to get embedded in these companies and drop some gospel algorithms and be watchdogs in the midst of all of this, because we need the church to be involved as much as we can, as long as we can, to use it to further the gospel.
Absolutely. And that's like you said before, we grab our pitchforks without knowing what we're talking about. If redemptive people get involved in this, it can be used for redemptive purposes. And also Elon Musk, whatever you think about Elon Musk, he confronted Larry Page, who was one of the founders of Google. And Google controls 3/4 of AI in the world today, the technology and also the talent. Think of that. They're not known for speaking the truth. They repress the truth. And so he confronted Larry. They were friends. And Elon was over at his house. And he said, you have a responsibility to put some constraints on this because this has unbelievable, bad potential if you don't. And Larry Page, it ended their relationship. Larry Page never had anything to do with him again. And Larry Page called him a speciesist, which
That's right, because he's pro-human.
He's pro-human. Believing that humans are better than, computers or AI or whatever, if you can imagine. Somebody be in that situation.
Yeah, he can't associate with Elon Musk because Elon Musk is too pro-human. By the way, Google's original founding charter, its slogan was "Don't be evil," and they have that stricken from a lot of their documents officially in 2018 to remove that slogan because they were originally developed. Most people don't know this, to develop a godlike mind and AI. That was Google's original intent, and we're supposed to believe that instead they just went into search-based, the search algorithm. No, they're using the algorithm to develop AI. They're using Google. They're using your search patterns. They're using their embeddedness in everything that you do. Now, there are people who are watching this right now who just have this knee-jerk reaction, and they're like, I don't want anything to do with AI. And you're watching this through a social media platform, meaning you are using AI right now to tell me that you don't want anything to do with AI. AI exists on a spectrum, and we have to understand that. And it is rapidly evolving. I think every 12 months they're expecting that the technology should at least double every 12 months. That's what we're dealing with right now. But you're exactly right with Google and with Elon Musk. They divided because Google said Elon was too pro-human. That's what we're dealing with right now. It used to be politically, even in our elections, it was, we're dealing with life issues. We're dealing with traditional marriage. We're dealing with these little issues that we always deal with and we always fight about. Now it's you're either pro-human or anti-human. pro-civilization or anti. This is a civilizational moment that we're living in, and the church can't bury its head in the sand or in the clouds. We need to have our minds firmly fixed on the Word of God to know what the Bible has to say about it.
Absolutely. I want to go on the record. I'm pro-human.
Yeah.
I think we're better. I think we're better than everybody else, except God. Yeah. So the Antichrist. Let's get kind of practical about this, because you're talking about Revelation 13, but on the road to Revelation 13, how will the Antichrist use AI to control humanity?
You know, we've often kind of just glanced over these passages that he'll establish a one world government, a one world religion, and a one world economy, and that he'll be able to control who buys and who sells. How is that even possible? Have we ever thought about the logistics of that? How can someone who's in the middle of the Roman Empire control what's happening in Brazil? Well, for the first time in human history, through artificial intelligence, through these algorithms, a small group of people in a little room can control the economy of the entirety of the world. We're seeing for the first time the possibility of these prophecies actually being able to come to pass, whereas before many people attempted to allegorize and spiritualize these prophecies because there's no way that would even be possible. Now, for the first time in history, it is possible, and the Antichrist agenda is rapidly moving forward. I strongly believe long before he attempts to mark people's heads, he will mark their minds. And that's what's happening with AI. And if I could go a little bit further with this, I think one of the most dangerous things with artificial intelligence, people, we always think about Terminator 2 or 2001: A Space Odyssey. What if it's neither of those? What if there's not this war between robots and humans, which, again, the WEF is meeting this week talking about biology and humanity merging together and how that's going to work out? What if it's far more subtle? What if it's through the subtle manipulation of algorithms that AI, even without our knowledge, controls our behavior? We even saw in previous democratic processes where social media companies have gotten involved and been able to sway those elections through the algorithm. What if that's already happening? So what I need everyone to know right now is that if you're in any way on the internet, there is an avatar of you that social media companies have created, a virtual version of you that has already been created. That's how they sell things to you. That's how they know what you want before you know you want it. That's how they inject things into your conversation. People think, well, how many of you have ever had a conversation about, buying something, and then within 24 hours you see the ad?
Absolutely.
Where they're advertising, and they say, well, it's listening to us. Well, it's probably listening to you, but what you don't realize is it doesn't need to listen to you. It can look at your purchasing habits. It can look at what you're posting on social media. It knows where you are in the supermarket. When you go into Target or when you go into Walmart and you stand in front of a Samsung television for 10 minutes, it knows you stood there for 10 minutes, and that's why you're going to get it. It didn't have to listen to your conversation because it knows your location. And so the subtle manipulation of behavior is what we're going to see, and it's something that the church needs to be prepared for.
My daughter was in the grocery store. Now, this is years ago. She was in the grocery store walking down the aisle, and she started getting ads for that aisle, for the stuff that was, and that's why she thought this is demonic. It knows where. So this is, and so artificial intelligence thinks 100,000 times faster than we think. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you were talking about, and it learns. This time next year, it will know double what it knows right now. And what it knows right now is unbelievable. Go back to the Tower of Babel when God divided the language. Now we have an app on our phone called Babel.
That brings them together.
Yeah, and that's what AI does. So literally, in a lot of ways, AI is trying to undo the consequences of Babel. It's another attempt. Don't you believe that?
Absolutely. There's a whole chapter in the book on the Tower of Babel and artificial intelligence and the comparison between the two. So they're able to accomplish, I believe Nimrod is an Antichrist type in shadow.
Yes.
And that he is attempting to develop this one world government, this Antichrist agenda. And the way God confounds it is by dividing us by language. Now, through artificial intelligence, it is tearing down the barriers that was hindering the Antichrist agenda from advancing. One AI researcher recently said this: imagine, just for a moment, that at a date uncertain in the next year or so, we are going to be visited by an alien race. And the only thing we know about that alien race is that it is 100 times smarter than us and better than us at everything. We don't know anything about its intention. We don't know anything about why they're showing up. We just know they're going to be here, and they're better than us and smarter than us in every way. How do we prepare for that? Would we take time to think about it, to prepare for it? That's what we're dealing with artificial intelligence. At any moment, we could lose the reins of these programs, and we have no way of predicting what's going to happen next. That's why it's called a technological singularity. We can't predict what's going to happen once that does happen.
Alan, thank you so much for joining me today. Fascinating interview. And listen.